Good evening. I'm Jack Cagle, and I serve you as the Commissioner of Harris County Precinct 4. And tonight, we are going to do our tribute to veterans. However, under our circumstances, tonight it will be done virtually. But there will be no virtuality with regard to the fun that we will have together and with regard to our heart and gratitude to the things that our veterans have done for us in serving this great nation of ours. Let's begin by joining and welcoming the Atascocita High School Marine Corps Junior ROTC, who will open our tribute with a presentation of the flags.
Forward, march. Come on, march. Color guard, pull. Present. Colors.
Thank you, Atascocita JROTC. Now, join me as we do our pledges of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Carry. Colors. Ready, cut. Forward, march. Color guard. Hold.
Ladies and gentlemen, this evening we placed a single table at the center of the room, placed to call your attention to its purpose. It is reserved to honor our missing comrades. Set for 5, the empty place settings represent the service members that never came home from each of the branches of the armed services: Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard. This honor ceremony is a simple representation they are with us in spirit. The first cover is that of the eldest branch of the military, the United States Army, escorted by Cadet Second Lieutenant Kaylee Janes. The next cover is that of the United States Navy, escorted by Cadet Corporal Braden DeBartolabin. The next cover is that of the United States Marine Corps, escorted by Cadet Sergeant Shane Bryant. The next cover is that of the United States Air Force, escorted by Cadet Lance Corporal Anthony Weatherspoon. The final cover is that of the youngest branch of the military, the United States Coast Guard, escorted by Cadet Corporal Xander Fonsbeck. This evening we offer a symbol representative of those comrades who've made the ultimate sacrifice in violent arenas of land, sea, and sky, far away from the homes and families they fought so bravely for. They are commonly called prisoners of war, missing in action. We call them brothers and sisters. They gave their lives so that we, as people, may stand free and strong. We offer this symbol as a sign that we have not forgotten their sacrifice, and as a renewal of the oath each of us may take to defend the freedom they paid so dearly for. We also want to acknowledge those missing in action, past, present, and future, who are still unaccounted for. The table you see before you is set for prisoners of war and missing in action who cannot be with us. Remember. The table is smaller than others with one place setting, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against their oppressors. Remember. The service hats symbolize everyone who has served in all conflicts. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to our country's call to arms. Remember. The table is round to show our concern for them is never ending. Remember. The Bible is a symbol of our faith in a higher power and the pledge to our country founded as one nation under God. Remember. The yellow ribbon tied so prominently on the red candle symbolizes the everlasting hope for a joyous reunion with those yet accounted for. Remember. The slice of lemon on the coaster reminds us of their bitter fate. Remember. There is a pinch of salt upon the coaster, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. Remember. The wine glasses turned upside down reminds us of our distinguished comrades who cannot be with us to join in the festivities this evening. They are not here. Remember. Ladies and gentlemen, the POW MIA flag bearer is Cadet Second Lieutenant Sarah Harisis. She escorts the POW MIA flag forward under the direction of Cadet Staff Sergeant Chase Aiken.
Post the colors!
The flag is present to mourn the fact that many of them will not return to our shores, and we pay tribute to their passing. On behalf of our honored guests, I present the Table of Honor. Remember.
Thank you again for joining us as we honor our veterans this Veterans Day. I've met so many of you individually, and I'm always amazed and proud of your unique stories from the battlefields and beyond. To all of the active service members and veterans, we can never thank you enough, never enough for your service and for your sacrifices. We also thank your families who have made great sacrifices for us as well. Typically, we host this event as a dinner and a concert for over 1,100 veterans and their families. Tonight, we cannot be with you in person, but it's still a privilege to join you virtually for this tribute. This evening, two honored guests join me who wish to share a special message to veterans and their loved ones. Please welcome the Honorable Congressman Dan Crenshaw from the 2nd District of Texas, who served us as a Navy SEAL for over a decade, achieving the rank of Lieutenant Commander. He earned 2 Bronze Star medals, one with Valor, the Purple Heart, and the Navy Commendation Medal with Valor. Also, we have former Judge and Congressman, my friend Judge Ted Poe. Once a judge, always a judge. He's a proud patriot, defender of our Constitution, and a veteran of the United States Air Force.
Hi everyone, Congressman Dan Crenshaw here. I want to thank you for putting together this incredible event for our veterans on Veterans Day. Sorry I can't be with you in person today, but I'm happy to share a few words. As a veteran myself, I always encourage people to say something other than thank you to veterans on Veterans Day. I encourage them to say, never forget. When you say never forget to a veteran, you're implying that, as an American, you are in it with them, connected together as grateful fellow Americans who will never forget the sacrifices made by veterans, past and present, and their families especially. As veterans, we know what we signed up for. It was not a service in the traditional sense of the word, but rather an honor to serve the country we love, an honor to bring the fight to our enemies abroad so they never bring the fight to our fellow Americans here at home. An honor to wear the uniform and stand shoulder to shoulder with our friends, some of whom never made it home, to defend the freedom and the way of life we are blessed with as Americans. So on this Veterans Day, never forget. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ted Poe. I'm a former judge and a former member of the United States Congress. They charged through a place in France that most Americans had never heard, the Argonne Forest and other places. They called them the Doughboys, these young Americans who went across the seas to fight for freedom in Europe. It happened over 100 years ago. And when the war to end all wars was over, on November 11th, at the 11th hour, they called it the armistice. We call it Veterans Day today, to remember those who served in all of our wars that came back, even those that came back with the wounds of war. Memorial Day, we honor and respect those who went off to America's wars and did not come back. Frank Buckles was a teenager. He claimed to be 18 years of age, and he tried to join the United States Army in the Great World War I 100 years ago. The Army wouldn't take him because they didn't believe him. Then he tried the Marines, and they didn't believe he was 18 as well. He goes back to the Army, and as he later said, I told him a whopper I was 21, and they enlisted him in the United States Army. He was probably 16 when he volunteered to go over there, promising not to come back till it was over there. Frank Buckles Jr. drove an ambulance in Europe, primarily in France, rescuing other doughboys that had been either killed or wounded on the battlefields. When the war was over and America came back to the United States, many of the Americans that had served died of the Spanish flu. In fact, more Americans died of the Spanish flu in 1918 than died in battle. But anyway, Frank Buckles set up his farm, and then in World War II, he found himself in the Philippines. Frank Buckles Jr. was captured by the Japanese in the Philippines, put in a prisoner of war camp, and was liberated by MacArthur shortly before he was to be executed. Then returning again to the United States, he went back to farming. I had the privilege to meet Frank Buckles. Frank Buckles Jr. was the oldest surviving American doughboy in World War I. He lived to be 110 years of age. And I met him in Congress when he was there in the Capitol campaigning for the doughboys of World War I. He wanted a memorial in Washington, D.C. for all the doughboys that had served. You see, we don't have a memorial for all of them. We have memorials for those that served in World War II, in Vietnam, in Korea, on the Mall of Washington, D.C., but there's not one for all the doughboys. So he was there promoting with members of Congress this idea. And so myself and Congressman Emanuel Cleaver from Missouri worked on this issue, and finally we got Congress to approve the construction of a memorial and a commission to build that memorial across the street from the White House. Later this year, we will dedicate that memorial in December of this year. Frank Buckles did not live to see his memorial for his friends created because they're all gone. Frank Buckles, all of his friends and comrades. So it is up to us to make sure that we remember those that served in the Great World War I. For the worst casualty of war is to be forgotten. A few years later, this 18-year-old farm boy, never been more than 50 miles from home, found himself in Camp Walters, Texas. That's up by Wichita Falls, in basic training for the United States Army. Because once again, America went to war across the seas in World War II. He was trained in Camp Walters and then caught a train to New York City and was embarked on what they called a Liberty ship and set sail at night from New York Harbor to go across the seas. He said later that this Liberty ship next to the one that he was in going on the convoy was sunk. The convoy had to keep going though because of enemy U-boats in the area. He went through France and Belgium, Luxembourg, and Germany, and came back home and started a family after the war was over with. Before he came back to civilian life, after the war was over in Germany, he was sent to Fort Hood, Texas, where he was being trained for the invasion of Japan. He catches a train to be sent off to the South Pacific. When he got to Portland, Oregon, the war was over, and he was sent back to Fort Hood, where he met my mom, who was a Red Cross nurse. They get married, and consequently, I was born in Temple, Texas, near Fort Hood. But anyway, my dad didn't say much about World War II. In fact, he didn't say anything at all. I just knew he served, that he was a tech sergeant, and he and Mom, however, went to the 40th anniversary of D-Day, where Ronald Reagan spoke there on the cliffs of Normandy. And after that was over with, he came back to the United States and back to Texas, and he did talk about what happened in World War II and what he, as an 18-year-old teenager, saw and did, including liberation of one of the camps near Dachau, which was a concentration camp. My dad recently was recognized by the French government. Just a few weeks ago, he was awarded by the French government the Legion of Honor for his service in France for the United States and for France. The Legion of Honor is the highest military honor that can be imposed by the French government. It was invented and started by Napoleon when he was emperor, and he proudly served in World War II as a member of the greatest generation, and proudly wears that medal that the French gave him for his service. He is one of the members of the greatest generation. Not many of them left, and we should continue to remember them, and we do have a memorial for them in Washington, D.C. Roy Benavides, his friends said he was a mean little kid. He grew up in South Texas. Both of his parents died of tuberculosis. His father was of Mexican descent. His mom was Native American. After they died, he was orphaned, and his uncle took care of him. His uncle and others recommended that he join the Army, and so he did. Joined the United States Army. He was sent to Korea, and then after that war was over with, he was sent to Vietnam. He was wounded in Vietnam when he stepped on a landmine. Put in a hospital. The Army said he would never recover, and they were going to medically discharge him. He worked constantly with a physical therapist to learn how to walk, and he improved so much that the Army took him back into combat and made a Green Beret out of him. When he went back to Vietnam again on one of those tours of duty, he was listening to the radio and had heard that 12 of his fellow soldiers had been ambushed by over 1,000 North Vietnamese soldiers, and that they were needing help, and many of them were wounded. He jumps on a helicopter that was going back to the landing zone to rescue those individuals. He jumps off the plane and he starts finding those 12 soldiers. Meanwhile, the helicopter was shot down and it crashed. A second helicopter came in to rescue the troops, including Roy Benavides, Senior Master Sergeant Roy Benavides. That helicopter was shot down too. Finally, a third helicopter came. Roy Benavides had been able to rescue all of those individuals who were wounded, get them on the helicopter, and bring them back to the forward operating base. However, he lost consciousness, and when he woke up, he found himself in a body bag. Being zipped up by the local doctor there at the base, he was able to spit in the face of the doctor, and the doctor proclaimed, "This one's going to make it." For you see that Roy Benavides had been wounded 37 times. Stab wounds, bayonet wounds, shrapnel, bullet holes. And yes, Roy Benavides, by the grace of God, lived. Another Texan who served. And he is like many, many others who have served then and serve now. When I was in Congress, I had the opportunity to go to Afghanistan, Iraq, the Philippines with the Navy, landed on an aircraft carrier with the Navy, went to Kosovo, was able to see our military. And I had two of our staffers who served in the military work in the 2nd Congressional District. Amy Harrison, United States Army. She served in Iraq. And Viviana Burkett, United States Navy, served in Afghanistan. Two of those who served. And during this time of the year, November 11th, we remember all of those who served in all of our wars. Because you see, not many people do serve. Of all the Americans that are in the United States today, only about 7.5% have served in the military. I'm proud to say that 50 years ago this year, I joined the United States Air Force and gladly served in the reserves. But only 7.5% have served, but right now, today, less than 1% of all Americans are serving in the military. You see, it's a handful, a few, a very, very small number of all volunteers that are looking out for the United States, looking out for the rest of us, taking care of us all over the world in places that many Americans have never even heard of. So we honor them today. We show them our gratitude because it is true that the worst casualty of war is to be forgotten.
It's now my pleasure to welcome the Texas A&M, yeah, there's a whoop I hear in the ether somewhere there, University Singing Cadets to tonight's tribute. The Cadets are directed by Mr. David Kipp and are internationally known as the voice of Aggieland. They have represented Texas A&M since 1893. Mr. Kipp has not been there all that time. and have performed around the globe in numerous countries. In May of 2017, the Singing Cadets toured New England and performed at the home of former President George H.W. Bush in Kennebunkport, Maine. I know of no finer way to continue tonight's tribute than with the Singing Cadets.
Some may boast a prowess bold of the school they think so grand, but there's a spirit can never be told. It's the spirit of Aggie land. We are the Aggies are we, true to each other as Aggies can be. We've got to fight, boys, we've got to fight. We've got to fight for maroon and white. After they've boosted all the rest, then they will come and join the best. For we are the Aggies are we. We are from Texas AMC. I believe in
Howdy. O Love was a hymn written by Reverend George Matheson in the late 1800s. Matheson wrote the hymn on the eve of his sister's wedding to highlight the love that God had for him and his family, despite the fact that Matheson himself had become blind and was left by his fiancée because of his illness. While the story in itself is truly moving, for Matheson, writing O Love was what helped him realize that he wasn't alone and that God's love was the most powerful force in existence. I speak for everyone watching this and for the men of the Singing Cadets when I say that this has been an extremely difficult year for humanity in every way. Humanity is hurting from the crippling effects of the virus, from job insecurity and poverty, from political divisiveness and hatred towards one another. The list goes on. To many people, grief and despair have become two familiar emotions. What we are about to sing is a powerful rebuke of despair and grief. It is a song about the most outstanding love that exists, even outside of our desire to seek it out. It is a reminder that while we live in a world that can inflict upon us such pain and misery, we will always be able to trace a rainbow through the rain. O Love is a reminder that in our darkest hours, despite the trials and pains of life, and when all hope seems to be gone, the most amazing joy will seek you through the pain, and God's love will not let you go.
the Bible began. Jacob lived in the land of Canaan, a fine example of a family man. Jacob, Jacob the sons, man of the soil of the sheep and brook. Jacob, Jacob the sons, a remarkable family in anyone's book. Jacob, Jacob the sons, Jacob, Jacob the sons, Jacob, Jacob the sons, Jacob, 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 Jacob and sons. I close my eyes, drew back the curtain to see for certain what I thought I knew. Far, far away, someone was weeping, but the world was sleeping. Any dream will do. I wore my coat with golden lining, bright colors shining, wonderful as blue. And in the ease, the dawn was breaking, and the world was waking. Any dream will do. A flash of dawn, a flash of light, my golden coat, light, the colors faded into darkness. I was left alone. Father, we're something to tell you, the story of our time, a tragic but inspiring tale of manhood in his prime. You know you had a dozen sons, well now that's not quite true, but feel no sorrow, do not grieve, we would not want you to. There's one more angel in heaven, there's one more star in the sky. Joseph will never forget you, it's tough but we're gonna get by. There's one last place at our table, there's one more tear in my eye. But Joseph, the things that you stood for, black love and peace never die. Black love and peace never die. Black love and peace never
Well, I was wandering along about the banks of the river when 7 fat cows came out of the Nile. Oh yeah, and right behind these 5 healthy animals came 7 other cows, and they're skinny and vile. Oh yeah, oh well, the 10 cows, 8 fat cows, which I thought were good. Oh yeah. But it didn't make them fatter like the muscle something really good. Oh yeah. Oh well, the 10 cows stayed as they had ever been. Well, this dream has got me back to page Joseph. Won't you tell me what it means? Now you know that kings ain't stupid, but I don't have a clue. So don't you be cruel, Joseph. Help me now, I beg of you. Thank you. thank you very much.
Close every door to me, hide all the world from me, bar all the windows and shut out the light. Do what you want with me, hate me and laugh at me, darken my daytime and torture my night. If my life were important, I would ask, will I live or die? But I know the answers lie far from this world. Close every door to me, keep those I love from me. Children of Israel are never alone, for I know I shall find my own peace of mind. For I have been promised a land of my own.
Oh no, not he. How you can accuse him is a mystery. Save him, take me. Benjamin is strengthened than the top palm tree.
I hear their steel drums sing their song. They're singing, man, you know you got it wrong. I hear the voice of the yellow bird singing in the trees. This is quite absurd.
Oh yes, it's true, it's true. Benjamin is straighter than the big bamboo. No ifs, no buts. Benjamin is honest as the coconuts.
Sure as the tide washed the golden sand, Benjamin is an innocent man. Sure as bananas need the sun, we are the criminal guilty ones.
Oh no, not he. How you can accuse him is a mystery. Save him, take me. Benjamin is straighter than the top palm tree. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Joseph, you know what they say. They're gonna Joseph, you make it someday. Sha-la-la Joseph, you're doing fine. You and your dream for the relevant time. Joseph, you know what they say. They're gonna Joseph, you make it someday.
If I could be a banker, a lawyer, a preacher, if I could be a doctor, a mayor, a teacher, if all I had to do was merely raise my voice and brother, here's my choice. I'd rather be a Texas Aggie, a mean so-and-so, than be from every other store and rolling it out. I'd rather be on the highway, a bumping a ride.
take great pride in recognizing the armed services of the United States, as well as the reserves and associated organizations. We invite any of you who have served your country when your service is mentioned that we might thank you. From the troops of Washington to the soldiers of Schwarzkopf, we honor those who have made sure that the caissons keep rolling along. The United States Army.
And wherever you go, you will always know that we are eagles marching along.
From courageous pilots and their screaming engines to the tireless work of their ground support, we honor those who have kept our skies free. The United States Air Force. Patrolling proudly in their ships of red and white, keeping our shipping lanes free and secure, we honor the men and women of the United States Coast Guard.
We're always ready to go back, Coast Guard, we all for you.
The Atlantic, the Pacific, the Persian Gulf. You name the waters, and our Navy men and women are keeping it free and secure. The United States Navy. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, they fought and they have made us proud. The bold, the brave, the members of the United States Marines. And now, may we all join these incredible men and women to stand for the symbol that unites us, our banner of courage and our emblem of freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, the flag of the United States of America.
Gem of the land and the sea. Tomorrow all the things were gone, and words for all my life, and I had to start again, just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there rings no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly
thank you again for joining us and supporting the great sacrifices made by those who have served in our armed forces. God bless you, and God bless America. Stay safe, stay well, and I hope to see you very, very soon. Goodbye and good night. I'm Jack Cagle, serving you as Commissioner of Harris County Precinct 4.